Are you getting what you deserve out of life? I'm reminded of this story where these travelers went into Africa and they saw these African kids playing with these marbles, these shiny, but they look like really nice marbles, these shiny marbles. And the travelers went up to them and said, you know, those marbles look really nice, but we've got these chocolate bars. Would you give us a few of your marbles for these chocolate bars? You know, one of the kids tasted the chocolate bars and they gave all their marbles. They had handfuls of marbles and they just gave it to these travelers for 1 or 2 bars of chocolate. And when the travelers got back home, they discovered that the marbles were actually raw, uncut diamonds. And I think it talks a lot about how we see ourselves. We don't know what we have in our hands and we give it away for free. Just like those kids, they had no idea that they had millions and millions of dollars or rands worth of value in their hands. They gave it away for 2-3 bars of chocolate. And we're the same. We go to jobs that are unfulfilling, where we're unappreciated, underpaid, because we don't understand the value that we have in our hands and we're giving it away for less than what we deserve. Now, I'm in a fortunate position that I get to do quite a lot of property coaching, teaching people how to invest in property. And we obviously look at various calculations to see if it's a good deal. We look at the return on investment, which basically tells you how hard your money's working for you. But the most important indicator that I always tell people is, what's your return on time? How hard is your money working for the time you invest into it? So what I'd like you to do is just to grab a piece of paper and write down the salary you receive after tax, the salary you get from your bank account into your bank account at the end of the month. And take that amount, whatever it is, 20, 30, 15, whatever it is, divide that by 160 hours, because that's the traditional working hours in a day, in a month. So if you're earning, let's say, 15 or 20,000 Rand per month, divide that by 160 and know what your hourly rate is worth. And ask yourself, is that enough? Is 120, 140, 150 Rand per hour, is that enough for your time? The time that you could be spending writing music and creating beautiful songs, the time that you could be spending writing a masterpiece, a novel that's a masterpiece, the time you could be spending on photography, traveling the world, living your dreams, is 150 Rand per hour enough? And I don't mean to become too harsh over this video, but I think it's so important that we have to look at this. We can't be ignorant about how undervalued and underpaid we are in the environments we find ourselves. You have to ask yourself the question, is 125 Rand enough per hour of your time instead of you traveling the world doing what you love? So, like those kids that are carrying marbles that are raw, uncut diamonds around as if they are carrying marbles, you need to look at your own value and say to yourself, you are worth more. So I've got a couple of ideas on how you can build your self-value and your self-esteem. The first idea is to write down a list of 20 things that you are incredibly good at. Now, sometimes people ask me and they say, geez, 20 things, I can barely come up with 2 things. If you can only come up with 2 things, that's fine, but try and challenge yourself to get to 20 things that you are great at, that you are phenomenal at. The second idea is to go get some encouragement from friends and family. Go and ask your mom or your dad or your partner or your friend, go and ask them, what do you think that I do well? What am I good at? What value do I bring to our friendship, to our family? Of course, they'll be really nice and hopefully give you some encouragement. The third one is then to go and speak to maybe a mentor or a business partner, somebody who might not be as nice and as fluffy as your family, who might give you a bit more honest feedback. But again, ask them, what do I do well? Where do I add value? What value do I have to add in this company? And where do you see that I'm doing really well? Because, you know, I don't know where this comes from, but we're always looking at areas to improve, always looking to give criticism. We very rarely actually give positive feedback. So if you want to get a little bit of a confidence boost, go and ask people for positive feedback. Go say, what do you think I did well yesterday, or that client meeting? How do you think I did that well? This presentation, what do you like about it? Prime people to give you some of that positive feedback. The fourth idea is to look at how far you've come. So take a look back at where you were a few years ago and and say to yourself, how have I grown? How have I changed? How have I gone through this hard times? I've overcome mountains, obstacles that I didn't know that I could. But look where you are now compared to where you were a few years ago, how you've grown emotionally, financially, maturity-wise. You might not be where you want to be, but you are so much further than you were a few years ago. And remember that growth, because you did that. So guys, you've got raw, uncut diamonds in your hands. You've got so much value and purpose and potential in your hands that you're not being rewarded properly for. And it doesn't actually start with your manager giving you enough money. It actually starts with you seeing that value in yourself and knowing that you deserve better. So the 4 ideas that I have for you and what I'd like you to work on in the next couple of weeks is 1, write down a list of 20 things that you think you do really well, the ways in which you add value. The second idea, go and get some encouragement from friends and family. Go and ask them questions like, what do I do well and what do you love about me? Third idea, go speak to mentors, business partners, people that might not be as nice as your family, might give you a bit more honest feedback, but again, ask them, what do you think I do well? Why do you keep me in the company? What value do I bring to this organization? And the fourth idea, and the most important, is spend some time reflecting on how far you've come. And remind yourself that you did that. You made it through the hard times. You were the one that dealt with pain that you didn't think you could. And look where you are now. You're stronger for it. You're better for it. And you might not be where you want to be. None of us are. We're always looking to get better. Just take a bit of time and remember how far you've come and realize that you have so much potential. And I really hope that after this, you feel like you can achieve anything, because I really believe you can. And I hope that you keep on changing the game. Negotiation is one of the most important skills that we should learn as a generation. Because whether it's, deciding where we're going to go for dinner or date night, or where we're going to work, or what kind of raise we're asking for, we need to know how to negotiate with people.